how does it feel being recognized for, I want to say amazing career, because I'm a big fan of your work. So.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, I was extremely like humbled last night. And you know, the video, the speech that Christian did, this is a festival that, you know, is one of the biggest ones in Europe. You are incredible, you know, they're incredibly known for bringing all these fantastic talent every year, and to really have a wonderful way of celebrating cinema and filmmaking. So to be invited to come back once again and receive that award, and to get to present the film last night, it was a really wonderful evening.
Because you were here in 2017, we spoke back then, but that was your first production.
Yeah.
When you brought the movie to here, and now we're 7 years on. It almost feels like it was yesterday.
I felt that too. I was like, wow, it has been 7 years, but I mean, it's it's been a lot of things happening between then and now. No, I think this is also a great opportunity. I think nice to be back with another female director. That was the same as when I was here last time, and I think, you know, she's done a pretty incredible debut film.
Yeah, it's an amazing film. I absolutely loved it. I mean, it kept on working afterwards.
Oh, that's good. That's all you want, you know.
Yeah,
people ask very often, like, what do you want them to take away from the film? And I was like, well, I mean, that's so different. But if people keep on thinking about it, that's the main thing.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
This one definitely does. We've been talking about it all week, actually, ever
Great.
since we saw it. And maybe you can. It might be difficult to ask, but how would you describe Virginia?
I mean, the thing is, when you see the film, or even happened when I read the script the first time, they kind of, one out of the mysteries, because it's kind of what makes the film get this kind of thriller aspect, is that you're trying to figure out the intention of this woman. She clearly works for the government, and she's here to assess this couple if they can have a child or not. But it seemed like there might be more to it. And either she has her very own distinct ways of working, or there's something else hidden that we don't know about her. So I think that you know, with that, I knew that it was almost different roles within the role that I was able to play. And play, that was a big thing. I knew I was going to get to kind of stretch my acting muscles and come up with ways to perform these scenes on the page that to be honest, when I read it, I was like, I don't even know how that's going to work or what this character is doing, but I'm going to have to try and figure that out. And that was a joy doing.
And was there, because I can imagine, I mean, the chemistry between you, Elizabeth, and Hamish, it's amazing. I mean, that must have also helped, like working off of each other.
Yeah, I mean, the nature is, especially when you make independent films, there's like no time or money, but we did, all of us, you know, really we were all very excited to make this film, and we did try and communicate. We had a lot of Zooms, a lot of discussions. One of the things I cared about a lot, and that I talked a lot about with Lizzie, was how this relationship could, in one way, only become, you know, quite difficult and hostile. And instead, I think we wanted to try and find the ways where these characters do meet, and that will bring a real complexity to that relationship and what it is, and the dependency that, you know, Lizzie has to this woman who kind of has her future in her hands, and how far you're able to kind of go to achieve the wanting to have the possibility of having a child. So yeah, there was a lot to play with there.
Yeah, I can totally imagine, and I think there's so. Like we said, you know, there are movies which are like potato chips or popcorn. You eat them, you enjoy them, and then, you know, fine. But this one keeps on working, and I feel like that has a lot to do with the story as well, and the times we're living in.
Yeah, I think it's the complexity of, you know, I mean, as a woman especially, I mean, I was actually pregnant when I shot this film, which is another layer. I was like 4 months pregnant. But you know, and especially I like the director had quite a journey to having my first child, and went through several miscarriages, and you know, and it is interesting, and I mean that was a topic that I discussed. You know, that longing that took over me of like I wanted this child so much. And yet we live in a world which you're wondering, do we need more people on this earth? Are we taking care of it? What is the future going to look like for our next, you know, generation or two? So that, of course, is topics that are very, very present.
Would you say that also, I want to say thank you for being so honest about that, because I feel like miscarriage and the ways of getting pregnant and everything is something people were always hush about.
Yeah, no, I think Fleur and I have been really outspoken with it. I mean, she went through 7 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you know, and at a certain point, I understand. It was like this script talked to her, because she was like, I didn't know what I was doing anymore. How can all these visits and all these things, you know, is this part of like me, you know, and it's, yeah, and it is a struggle that I've know not enough people talk about, and women and men who you know go through this, and it's extremely common. And I kind of felt for myself when it happened to me the first time, I felt like, wow, this is way beyond how, you know, way beyond. It's so much worse than I had ever imagined, and then I thought then we need to talk about it, because I needed the security net of the people around me to you know, to connect with. Yeah.
Yeah, I went through it myself as well.
Yeah, no.
And it's a thing where people are like, oh yeah, okay, fine. We don't know how to talk about it. And it's like, just let's open up that conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy, but I want to ask, because now you're sort of like putting that into a film, but Fleur being so open about it, did it also add to your, I don't know, almost emotional availability?
I think one of the first conversations that Lizzie, Fleur and I had, it might even have been like the first Zoom that we all three did together, and the first time I spoke to Lizzie. And we ended up, you know, we started to talk about the film, and it was mostly for us to actually get to know each other. And by the time we all like zoomed out from the meeting, I think we talked about it later, how you know, we went extremely deep, and the film actually made us, you know, talk about some extremely, you know, personal stories. And of course, that was something that we then carried with us about, you know, one another when we were shooting the film.
I also love how the film is sort of symbolism of how motherhood and fatherhood are different, if you know what I mean. You know?
Yeah, they're different, but they're also, like, everyone is on their own journey when it comes to these things. I think it's so personal.
Yeah, and I feel like another character in the movie is the house. How amazing was it to film there? Because it feels like it's very empty, but at the same time, it also feels like it adds so much to the whole reality of this family living there.
Yeah, I think the beauty was that she kind of also described the rest of the world with the house, showing that instead of it being kind of this sleek, you know, kind of style that a lot of sci-fi or, you know, like films that are set in the near future might have, instead it was like salvaging, you know, old things, you know, things from the old world. And then also, you know, we were in this one house, so she did give us a lot of space, actually, a big playground. I felt like it was a lot of things for me to physically be able to work myself around. It was a bit like, I had the feeling of being a bit on a stage where you kind of need to map out a lot of the physical aspects of how these scenes work for it to be, you know, as effective on camera as possible.
Would you say? Yeah. Oh, it was actually my last question. Would you say that this might have been one of the most challenging roles you've had, even though you had such good conversations with Fleur and Lizzie at the beginning?
I mean, Yes, but it was also one of the most fun. You know, that kind of often goes hand in hand, to be honest. So in that sense, it's like, yeah, it was a challenge, but it was also, you know, it's kind of what I longed to do. You know, I want to go on set and feel like there's a big unknown in wherever the character might end up going or might happen in the scene. And I think between, you know, when you work with really good actors, the joy is that, yeah, I sit home and I use my imaginations and my fantasies of what's going to happen, but then when you actually get there, magic happens, and then, you know, you take inspiration from the room and from the fellow people there, and yeah, something other creates. Yeah.
Yeah, stretch your muscles. Yeah, no, it's an amazing film. So
well, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.